The Giza Pyramid Complex, also called the Giza Necropolis, is an archaeological site on the Giza Plateau in Greater Cairo, Egypt. The complex includes both the Great Pyramid and the Pyramid along with the pyramid complexes, the Great Sphinx. These pyramids were built during the 4th dynasty of the Old Kingdom of Ancient Egypt. The site also includes several tombs and the remains of a workers' village. It is located about 9 kilometers, 5.6 miles, west of the Nile in the city of Giza, and about 13 kilometers, 8 miles, southwest of downtown Cairo. The site, along with the neighboring city of Memphis, was inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List in 1979. The Great Western Pyramid and Haram are two of the largest pyramids built in ancient Egypt, and were historically popular as symbols of ancient Egypt in the imagination. They became famous in Hellenistic times, when the Great Pyramid was listed as one of the 7 wonders of the world. Encounter by far the oldest and only surviving wonder of the world. The pyramids are one of the stages of development of tomb architecture in ancient Egypt. It began in the development stages of tomb architecture in ancient Egypt. It began in the stages of development of tomb architecture in ancient Egypt. And it began in the stages of development of tomb architecture in ancient Egypt, to several stages in its development. Then it developed to take the form of a pyramid taken in the way that the engineer Imhotep takes the pharaoh's minister and King Djoser in the 3rd dynasty. This was followed by 2 attempts by King Sneferu, founder of the 4th dynasty, to build a complete pyramidal form. However, the backs of the 2 pyramids are not correct, as they are located in the shore. One of them is flat, and the other has a smaller shape, approximately half the size of the first. The engineer Haemiono, the engineer of King Khufu, was able to achieve the ideal pyramidal shape and built the Pyramid of Khufu in Giza on an area of 13 acres, followed by the Pyramid of Khafre and Menkaure. The construction of the Great Pyramid took nearly 20 years and the construction of the corridors and the lower parts of the pyramid 10 years, according to Herodotus, the Greek historian who visited Egypt in the 4th century BC, after more than 2,000 years of building the pyramid and heard these and other stories from some priests and narrators. The stones that were used in the construction of the Great Pyramid from the area surrounding the pyramid, the stones of the outer cladding from the area of Jabal Torah, and the granite stones used in the inner rooms from the Aswan quarries, and they were brought by the Nile River, which was reaching the pyramid area at that time. The stones were cut and separated from each other by making holes at close distances in the piece of stone to be cut. Then some wooden pegs were hammered in them and hammered on them while putting water on them, buffing and polishing them using a stronger type of stone such as granite or diorite. The ancient Egyptians used a sandy road to build the pyramids, where pieces of stones are placed on wooden sledges beneath which are round palm trunks that work like wheels, from top to bottom, and gradually remove the sand. The hierarchical form of the ancient Egyptians was associated with the idea of the emergence of the universe, and they also believed, according to some of their writings and religious texts, that the pyramid was a means to help the soul of the deceased reach the sky with the god Ra, that can help them ascend to heaven. We also see the pyramidal shape at the top of the obelisks and some small tombs of individuals in southern Egypt, even when the kings of the modern state thought of building their tombs on the western mainland in the Valley of the Kings and carving them in the bottom of the mountain to protect them from theft. They did not abandon the pyramidal shape, which was represented at the top of the mountain itself. The Giza Pyramid Complex consists of the Great Pyramid, also known as the Pyramid of Khufu or Khufu, and erected around 2580 to 2560 BC. The somewhat smaller Pyramid of Khafre, located a few hundred meters to the southwest, and the relatively modest Pyramid of Menkaure, a few hundreds of meters to the southwest. The Great Sphinx is located on the eastern side of the complex. Most Egyptologists today agree that the head of the Great Sphinx is that of King Khafre. In addition to these main monuments, there are a number of small monuments affiliated with it, known as the Pyramids of Queens, Bridges and Valley Pyramids. Khufu Pyramids. Khufu was succeeded by his father, Sneferu, and his mother is Queen Hetepheres I. Khufu, 2650 BC, is the short name for Khnum Koifaoi, meaning, Khnum is the one who protects me. History states that Khufu built the greatest building on earth, the Great Pyramid of Giza, the only surviving miracle of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Its grandeur is due not only to the immensity of its construction but also to its impressive interior design. A cemetery was built around it, with small pyramids for his wives and his mother, Hetepheres. In addition to tombs in the form of terraces for members of the royal family and senior officials. The original height of the Great Pyramid is 146 meters, and currently it is approximately 137 meters, and the length of its base side is 230 meters. As for the weights of cut stones, they range from 1 ton to 8 tons or more. But can we imagine that this king, the owner of this giant building, we found only one very small statue of him, the size of which is approximately 7.5 centimeters, and from later times, since the king at this time forbade the erection or sculpting of any statues, as we did not find large statues enduring this period, only one statue was hidden in the tomb of Prince Rahotep and his wife. Perhaps the king wanted to begin by himself to prevent the erection of statues. King Khufu called his pyramid Ahet Khufu, meaning the horizon of Khufu, due to the religious changes that occurred in his era. Stadelmann explained that Khufu had departed from the Egyptian faith and established himself as a deity. The pyramid of King Khufu has not been spared from destruction throughout the ages. Diodorus the Sicilian pointed out that the top of the Great Pyramid is a platform about 3 meters wide and 2 meters long. But the top of the pyramid is not a platform, but a pyramid that may have been covered with gold. Part of his clothing was destroyed and lost. The Pyramid of King Khufu was surrounded by a wall whose remains are still standing in the eastern and northern sides, at a distance of 20 meters from the base of the pyramid. Khafre Pyramids. The Pyramid of Khafre is one of the pyramids of Giza in Egypt. It was built by King Khafre, the 4th king of the 4th dynasty, the son of King Khufu. He married Princess Ankh-Berth's 26 years rule. The second pyramid was built from the pyramids of Giza, and it is lower than the pyramid of his father, Khufu. Its height was 143 meters and now it is 136 meters. It was built over an area of 215 square meters. It has 2 entrances on the north side. It still retains part of its outer covering at the top. Within its hierarchical group, statues of schist stone were found in the private valley temple, including a statue of the most beautiful Egyptian sculpture produced, and it is located in the Egyptian Museum, and is attributed to him carving the rock of the Sphinx. The Pyramid of Khafre is located southwest of the pyramid of his father Khufu. Its height is 143.5 meters, the length of each side is 215.5 meters, and the angle of inclination is 53.10 degrees. It is located at ground level, and the entrance leads to a descending corridor, with a granite roof and a slope of 22 degrees. It ends at a parapet that leads to a horizontal corridor, then a ramp leading to a cellar mistakenly called the burial chamber, which is empty carved in the rock. and the vestibule leads to another parapet that rises upward with a horizontal corridor that ends with the burial chamber. The pyramid, Khafre called his pyramid, the Great. Like the Great Pyramid, a rocky outcrop was used in the core. Because of the slope of the plateau, the northwest corner 10 meters, 33 feet, was cut from the rock core and the southeast corner was built. The pyramid is built of horizontal paths. The stones used at the bottom are quite large, but as the pyramid rises, the stones get smaller and become 50 centimeters, 20 in, thick at the top. The courses are stiff and irregular in the first half of their height, but a narrow band of regular masonry is evident in the central part of the pyramid. In the northwest corner of the pyramid, the bedrock was formed in steps. Casing stones cover the upper third of the pyramid, but the pyramid and part of the apex are missing. The bottom layer of the casing stones was made of pink granite, but the rest of the pyramid was covered with limestone from Torah. Close examination reveals that the edges of the corners of the remaining casing stones are not perfectly straight, but overlapped by a few millimeters. One theory says that this is due to stability from seismic activity. An alternative theory posits that the ramp on the blocks was cut to shape before laying due to the limited working space toward the top of the pyramid. The Pyramid of Menkaure. The Pyramid of Menkaure is the smallest of the 3 pyramids of Giza in Egypt. It was built by King Menkaure, son of King Khafre of the 4th Egyptian dynasty. The length of each of its sides is 108.5 meters, its height is 65.5 meters, and it is now 62 meters long after the fall of its outer covering. With an original height of 65.5 meters, 215 feet, the Pyramid of Menkaure was the smallest of the 3 major pyramids in the Giza pyramid complex. Its height is now 61 meters, 200 feet, and its base is 108.5 meters, 356 feet. Its tilt angle is about 51 degrees 20 to 25 degrees. It was constructed of limestone from Torah and granite from Aswan. The first 16 courses on the outside were made of red granite. The top was coated in the normal way with Torah limestone. Leave part of the granite in the rough. Unfinished projects like this pyramid help archaeology understand the methods used to build the pyramids and temples. To the south of the Menkaure pyramid are 3 subsidiary pyramids, each accompanied by a temple and infrastructure. The far east is the largest real pyramid. Its casing is partly made of granite, like the main pyramid, and is believed to have been completed due to the limestone pyramid found nearby. Neither of the other 2 advanced after building the inner core. Shortly before reaching the granite burial chamber, a door in the north wall of the entrance hall leads through a 6-step staircase to a series of 6 shops arranged with comb teeth carved into the rock, the faces of which are usually interpreted as the rooms in which the canopic urns and the crowns of Egypt were kept. Upper and Lower Egypt. So it seems that 3 projects followed each other into the king's tomb. The first modest volume corresponds to the unfinished corridor. A second expansion of the first project with an antechamber, harrow room and a large room preceding the burial chamber that will eventually be abandoned. Finally, a third project was included in the second by supplementing an underground corridor leading directly to the granite burial chamber equipped with storerooms to house the king's funeral. If the first project appears to have already been abandoned, it is possible that the second and third were planned and executed at the same time, which explains the dimensions of the large rectangular room that would have served as a maneuvering room for the arrangement of the blocks. Granite beams cover the king's burial chamber. This is the first time that funeral apartments for a royal pyramid have been developed. contemporary royal tombs will take over and develop the components of the funerary apartments of the Menkaure pyramid. We can cite examples of the tombs of Kent Chaos and Shepsesk. The guiding elements will be preserved by the royal pyramids of the 5th dynasty, including the antechamber preceding the comb chamber, the dome divided into an antechamber, a sarcophagus, and storage rooms whose role is not yet clarified. On the other hand, the decoration of the first antechamber and the sarcophagus of Menkaure is still unique, and we will not find such elaborate decoration in the royal pyramids before the 6th dynasty of Egypt, more than a century and a half later. In this sense, the Pyramid of Menkaure is an exception and represents the prototype of the classical pyramids of later eras. Its inclination angle is 51 degrees 20 minutes 25 seconds. Sacked 53/5, and its entrance is to the north. The entrance rises about 4 meters above the ground, and leads to a 31-meter-long descending corridor. And the angle of inclination is simple, about 17 degrees. It was built of limestone, but Menkaure chose to build the lower part of it from the granite that was brought from Aswan via the Nile River. The height of the granite stone coverage is about 17 meters. The rest of the coverage was done with white Torah stones up to a height of 5.65 meters. At the end of the inclined corridor there is a vestibule lined with stone, leading to a horizontal corridor with 3 barricades, and then the burial chamber. He was found on a wooden coffin with the name of Menkaure and his mummy in it. The mummy of Menkaure is now preserved in the British Museum. Menkaure called his pyramid, Al-Mughadaz. To the south of the Pyramid of Menkaure, there are 3 pyramids dedicated to the queens, extending to the east, west of the first pyramid, belonging to Queen Tamarnepati, the second wife of King Menkaure.